First John 3:7-8. Little children, let no one deceive you. Whoever practices righteousness is righteous, as he is righteous. Whoever makes a practice of sinning is of the devil. For the devil has been sinning from the beginning. The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the works of the devil. We've seen John use this language a couple of times already in this epistle. Now he calls them little children. Again, simply some affection and some endearment to them. He's not speaking to just the kids in the congregation. He's speaking to his congregation. But this word children is intentional here because he's saying that obviously he feels like he's there in a father figure shepherding role. But he's also reminding them of who they are as children of God, which is, you're going to see that in the coming verses. And you can see that even further down in verses 9 and 10, he uses the language of being born of God and then children of God. And he contrasts that to being a child of the devil. And so we see that right here, of the devil. And this idea of the devil means offspring or begotten children of. And so this is really, in essence, kind of a paternity test. You can think of it in those ways as a paternity test. And so he says, here's the test. Let no one deceive you. Whoever practices righteousness, now we've seen the language practices or keeps on doing. Whoever practices righteousness is actually righteous, John says. And he is righteous as Christ is righteous. And so if you practice righteousness, then you are righteous as Christ is righteous because you are of him. Now, you don't do righteous to become of Jesus, but because you are of Jesus, then you will practice righteousness. We see this in Ephesians 2:10, where Paul says that it's been prepared beforehand good works for us to do once we are believers in Christ. So there's good works that we're going to do. You can also see this in Matthew 7:16, where as Jesus is at the end of the Sermon on the Mount, he's speaking of the idea of a tree bearing its fruit. And so if it's a healthy tree, it's going to bear fruit. If it's not, it won't. Same idea. If you're of Christ, you will actually practice and do righteousness. He goes on to say in verse 8, by contrast, whoever makes here's that word again, a practice of sinning is actually born of the devil. Their father is of the devil. Why is this so? Well, here's our because idea 4. The devil has been sinning from the beginning. That's what he does. He's a sinner. And those that practice sin look like the devil. Those that practice righteousness look like Jesus. He goes on to tell us that this is the very reason the Son of God appeared, was to destroy the works of the devil. So you can't practice sinning. You cannot continue to practice sinning because Jesus came to destroy the works of the devil, which is the practice of sinning, which is sin. And so you can't do both, folks. You cannot have it both ways. And back up here to verse 7 where he says, let no one deceive you. Why does he say that? Well, there were those who that John was dealing with in the church. There were the false teachers of Gnosticism and other ideas that would claim that knowledge might make you righteous, or simply knowing something might make you righteous. And John is saying, look, don't be deceived by the false teachers. If you don't do righteous, if you don't look righteous, if you don't look like Jesus, then you may not be of Jesus. And if you look like the devil, then you're probably of the devil. I mean, we talk about not being able to judge by appearance, but our works find us out. Again, Matthew 7:16. If whatever kind of tree you are, it's going to be obvious, and it's going to be obvious who your father is. Either God the Father, or you're a child of the devil. One or the other. You can't have it both ways.